Welcome back, my chess friends. It's time for the pawn. Let's look at some fun exercises. I must say, has the best exercises. I will show you many mini games that you can play. So the first one is called the pawns game, or as I like to call it, a pawn wars, yeah, mini game. It's pretty simple, right? Each side has 8 pawns, and whoever gets to the other side first is the winner. Yeah. You also win if it's your opponent's move and they have no moves left. Um, Let me give you some exercises here with the pawn in the pawn wars, yeah, pawns game. So yeah, for example, in this position, it's white to move. Who is winning here? So white to move. Which side is winning? So who is winning? Yeah, it's white. So white simply goes 2 squares down the board, pushes the pawn, and black only has one move. And yeah, bye bye. The pawn, yeah, white wins. How about here? White to move. The answer is black wins, surprisingly. Here, if we go 2 squares down the board, and then black is smart. He goes 1, he waits for us. Uh, and that's the only move. Bye-bye. If we push the pawn only 1, then black goes 2. And, uh-oh, we lose the pawn again. Now let's add 2 more pawns on the board. Who is winning? So, it's actually the same story, yeah? So here black is winning again. So if we go 2, black goes 1 with that adjacent pawn, yeah? If we go 1, they go 2. All of a sudden, we have no moves, yeah? If we push this pawn, we will lose it, and this one, yeah, we lose the pawn. Black wins. Let's move on. How about here? 2 additional pawns appeared on the chessboard. Who's winning? And surprise, surprise, it's black again, right? So we go 2, they go 1. We go 1, they go 2. We go 2, let's say, they go 1. And now no moves, yeah? We push, they capture us. We push, they capture us. We push, they capture us. Okay. Now, how about this one? Be careful, this one is a little bit tricky. Don't be an autopilot and you're like, ah, okay, black is winning. It's not. Spoiler alert. Yeah, white actually wins here because he has a pawn on the f file, and f file is adjacent to e and g file where the black pawns are. So white cleverly pushes this pawn 2 squares down the board and restricts black quite a bit. So black actually only has 2 moves. So let's pick one pawn. Let's pick the e pawn. And now, important moment for white, not to go 2, right? If we go 2, then after black pushes the pawn, then now white is in trouble. So instead, we have to go 1. Black's only move, pawn here, yeah, the only good move. And now we push again. And now black is in trouble. Yeah, all of his pawns will be captured. Okay. You can feel the difficulty spike. Now, white to move and win. How can we get to the end? How can we reach the other side? It seems impossible, right? We have only 2 pawns at the moment, and both of them are actually under attack. So how do we win? How? Simple. By giving a pawn away for free, kind of, yeah? By playing pawn to e6. Now our threat is to take the pawn and get to the end. So black pretty much has to take. And now the g pawn can get all the way to the end. He just passes by. Bye-bye, yeah, black pawns. I'm going to the end. I'm going to be promoted, yeah? I'm going to win, yeah? this mini game. Okay, now a position from one of my own games against one of my students. So my student played pawn to f6 and yeah, push the pawn to f6, and this move is actually a mistake. Why? Yeah, so white here has a very clever move. Pawn to f5. And it looks like white is crazy. Like both of his pawns are under attack. What is he doing? But the point here is that if black takes the pawn, then the e pawn is unstoppable, right? And if black takes like this, we take on e6, and again, unstoppable pawn. And for the final challenging puzzle here. Oh, I'm sweating. The difficulty spike is quite big here. This is a very famous, yeah, pawn breakthrough. Like 3 soldiers, 3 pawns versus 3. It seems impossible, but white can win. How? This is a hard one. So take your time. Pause the video. Okay? You're back. So how do we win? The only way to win is to push the middle pawn. I was a victim of this kind of trick once, I remember. It was in one of my rapid games. Yeah? Kind of forgot about this. So now the threat is obviously to take one of the pawns and get to the end. So black has to react. Let's pick the d pawn. Yeah? The d pawn captures, and now white sacrifices another pawn. He's threatening to take, get to the end. So black has to take. And now the d pawn is the winner. Decides everything. Now, if we just go back for a second, in this position, if the f pawn takes, it's the same story. Just in this case, the f pawn is the winner. Yeah, decides the game. So we now sacrifice the d pawn. We are threatening to take, get to the end. Black takes, and now we push, and the f pawn is unstoppable. Okay, move on. Next, we have this nice exercise. So knight against 3 pawns minigame. So white wins if, obviously, the knight takes all the black pawns. Black wins if one of the pawns reaches the other side, yeah, the first rank, without being captured in the next move. So this is also quite fun. And let me give you one exercise. So this position, who is stronger here? With black to move, will the knight be able to take them all, or will one of the pawns get to the end and win? So with black to move, who do you think is going to emerge as a winner? And the answer. So, for example, now black has to push one of his pawns. Let's pick the f pawn. That's a free pawn. We are going to take it. Now, if we advance with the g pawn, that's a free pawn. So black pushes the h pawn. And now a clever move, knight to h2, stops the black pawn on h3 from advancing. The only move is to push. And now we stop the g pawn, and h pawn is forced to advance. We take it, and the only move is g4, and we take that one as well. So white wins. Let's go back. Same position. Now it's white to move. Does it make any difference whether it's black to move or white to move? Figure it out. Good luck. Okay? So in this case, it does really matter, because if it's white to move, those 3 pawns will crush the knight. Let's see. So first, we have to move the knight somewhere. Let's pick the f3 square. We are attacking the pawn on h4, so this pawn naturally will advance. Now we already have to be careful. If we jump to g5, for example, or something, the h pawn can already get to the end. Yeah? So we have to stop the h pawn. Now the g pawn advances. And here we have to be very careful. I mean, if we jump to f3, then the g pawn will advance. So let's stop the g pawn. And now f3 pawn can advance. It's already pretty hard. Okay, let's just jump back. We attack the f pawn. Yeah, f3 pawn. So let's say they advance, right? Makes sense. Now we are kind of forced to jump in front of that pawn to stop it. Now the g pawn advances. You see how these pawns are slowly crashing, yeah, the knight. So we jump to h2, and now g pawn advances. And now, yeah, one of the pawns can just, you know, advance, and it's all over for white. Okay, next we have bishop versus three pawns. Yeah, this mini game. So obviously, if white takes all of the pawns, yeah, white wins. And again, if black gets to the end with one of his pawns, yeah, um, without being captured in the next move, yeah, then black wins. So let me give you one example. So this position, white to move, find the winning sequence. So how can white win? It's pretty challenging already. Okay, so the answer, bishop to e2. And now the b and c pawn cannot advance because we will just take them. So black advances with the a pawn. And now, nice, bishop b5. And one pawn will drop. Let's say black advances with the a pawn. We take it. Now, okay, the only move is to play c4, right? And now, very clever, we attack that pawn. Uh-oh, it advances. It's already almost down there at the end. So we have to stop it. Bishop d3 stops the pawn. And now here black is trying to be a bit clever. He pushes the b pawn, giving like a bait. Take me, yeah? Take my pawn. But we don't want to take that pawn, right? Of course we don't. Because if we do, then this pawn advances. So instead of taking, we wait. We play bishop c2. Only move. And now we block the b pawn. They have to advance with the c pawn. We take, and now the b pawn is captured. That's it. Yeah, game over. Okay. Next. Now here we have rook versus 5 pawns. So black wins if he takes all of the pawns. White wins if he reaches the 8th rank without being captured in the next move. So let me give you one example. This one. So black pawns are quite close to the end. But with black to move, it's black's turn. Black can stop them and can win. How? Okay, how do we win? Rook c2. So now the pawn cannot advance. We'll just take it. And if the b pawn advances, we take the c pawn, right? Again. And we are in time. We are going to take it. Yeah, we stopped the white pawn. Next, we have this disco duel, or two knights against pawns. Disco duel is because pawns are, let's say, students. Yeah, the kids who wants to go to have some fun. They want no sorry, the knights are the security guards, and the pawns are the, let's say, underaged kids who want to sneak into the disco to have fun. So yeah, your goal as a security guard is to stop as many pawns as you can, right? And obviously as a pawn, as a kid student, yeah, you want to get inside of the disco and have fun. Yeah, I like to change it. I would say that, let's say, the pawns are the kids and the knights are the parents, let's say mom and dad, and a lot of kids in this family, they didn't finish their homework, they want to go to the cinema. So yeah, maybe for younger kids better to present it like this. So yeah, you would play twice. Yeah, first you have the white pieces and then you switch the color. Yeah, so everyone gets to be a kid and then a parent or a security guard. And yeah, the winner is the person who got the most pawns through. Yeah, and a pawn that reaches the end, it cannot be captured on the 8th rank. So 8th rank, I'm safe. Yeah, I'm safe zone. um, okay, let me give you one example. So here, it's white to move. Your question is, can we stop the white pawn? And the answer is no. It turns out that the pawn is pretty fast. The knight is actually a bit sluggish, a bit slow. Yeah? He's jumping, but the pawn is too fast. We can attack the pawn, but it will move forward. We can attack the pawn again, but the pawn will move forward. Yeah, white wins. Yeah, mini game in this mini game. Yeah, let's say gets his pawn safely. Yeah, into the cinema or disco. Okay, next, two bishops versus 8 pawns. So same story. If you take all the pawns as black, you win, and if white gets one of the pawns to the other side, wins the game. Yeah. Let me give you one example. Here, for example, let's say white to move, and white can win. How? So you can win by being smart with this kind of obstruction. Yeah, this bishop is preventing white from advancing, yeah, with his pawn. So we block that bishop, and this guy can reach the end, yeah, later. Okay, moving on. Queen versus 8 pawns. So yeah, if queen takes all of them, then black wins. If one of the pawns get to the end, then the side with pawns wins. Yeah, it's enough for one pawn, for just one pawn to get to the end. And one example. So here it's black to move. How can queen threaten all 3 pawns at once? So your task is to attack all 3 pawns with just one move, right? That's super cool. And queen, she is awesome, so she is capable of attacking multiple pieces at the same time. So the correct move is queen h4, bam, bam, and bam. That's it. Okay, and finally, probably my favorite exercise, or one of my favorite exercises, is it's all about mazes. I love mazes. So here we have a pawn maze, and the rules are like this. So only the white pawn moves. At least we get to the end, yeah, then we can promote into something, yeah. And our task is to capture the black king in 8 moves without taking any of the black pieces or moving to a square where our piece can be taken. So wish you good luck. Pretty hard. And the answer here. So c7. Now it's important to figure out, what should we promote into? Do we pick the queen, rook, bishop, or knight? So in this case, putting the knight is the best, the fastest. And we can jump to a7, b5, c7, e6, g5, and on the next move we take the king. We solve the maze. Next, same rules. Get to the black king, this time in 11 moves. Good luck. Okay? And the answer is, this time, we'll pick the queen. Get to b8, b5, c4, c3, e5. She's awesome, huh? But it's taking quite a long time, yeah? G3, G8, H8, and move number 11, we take the king. Okay, good. Let's move on. So here, only 7 moves are needed. How to do it? This time, we're going to pick, surprise, surprise, the bishop. And we go to H3, G2, D5, A2, B1, and next move we can get to the king. Good. And the final one, we need 8 moves. Okay. So we promote it into queen, knight, and bishop. Guess what? This time, let's pick the rook. That's the fastest way to get to the king. In 8 moves, d6, b6, we go to b7, a7, a1, and on the next move, we get the king. Okay, that's all I prepared for the pawn. Thank you very much. Bye.